Howdy, and welcome to LeeReads, where I talk about the books I've been reading and enjoying lately. Okay, remember how I filled out my bingo card for rFantasy's 2023 bingo? Well, I kind of forgot I did that too. So, of the 25 slots, I read about half of the books that I planned to read for those spots. And then the rest, I've gone back. Thankfully, I've read other books that qualify for those spots. So I just want to talk about the card that I'll be turning in for this year. To qualify for the rFantasy bingo card, it's fantasy, science fiction, or horror. They have hard mode or regular mode. I didn't try to do hard mode this time because I thought it was challenging enough to find applicable books for the prompts presented, but who knows, maybe I can try hard mode in the future. The first slot is title with a title, and for my bingo card, I am putting God Killer. A God Killer is a person who is legally allowed to hunt down and kill gods in this world, so I think that it applies. So check that box. The next is superheroes. For that, I'm putting the Diviners, because the Diviners are basically superheroes in their 1920s Manhattan, New York era world. They each have their own little special ability and they are slowly coming together. This is a series I'm really enjoying. Bottom of the TBR, I put and succeeded with Rhythm of War by Brandon Sanderson. I had been meaning to read that one for about 2 years or so since I finally finished Oathbringer, and I finally read that. So I'm all caught up on Stormlight now. Magical realism, I've put a book I recently read, The Warm Hands of Ghosts by Catherine Arden, because of the fiddler magical layer woven into the story. And to finish the top row for young adult, I'm putting Defiant by Brandon Sanderson, which is the last book in the Skyward series. The next row, Mundane Jobs, Bookshops and Bone Dust. The job is of being a bookkeeper or owning a bookstore, working in a bookstore. Very cozy fantasy, but not quite as cozy as Legends and Lattes, which I guess would apply, but I had read it before this challenge started. Published in the aughts, Curse of the Chalian by Louis McMaster Bujold. Love that one. Angels and Demons, Witch King by Martha Wells. The main character is an actual demon. That definitely applies, and that was originally one on my card as well. 5 short stories. I've read 5 short stories within the Star Wars bind-up from a certain point of view, which is inspired by The Empire Strikes Back. That one's been pretty fun. I also recently read The Veldt by Ray Bradbury. I'm not sure if that counts or not, because for certain categories, there are certain authors that don't count because they're super prevalent or popular. I haven't gone back to check on Ray Bradbury. I just feel like he's too easy, but who knows. That was still a really powerful short story. And last in the row is horror. I put A House with Good Bones by T. Kingfisher. Interestingly enough, this year I actually had several horror books I could have chosen from. It's a new line of reading for me. Starting the middle row, self-published or indie publisher, I am going with Paladin's Faith by T. Kingfisher because she's independently publishing the Saint of Steel series, or at least she was. I think some of them might have been picked up. But I did have trouble filling this one, and that tells me I really need to make more of an effort to read some independently published books. Set in the Middle East, The Adventures of Mina al-Sarafi, which has been very popular on BookTube. Published in 2023, Thornhedge by T. Kingfisher. There are other ones that I read that were new releases, but that was originally one on my card, so I left it, even though maybe I should stop putting T. Kingfisher on there. But you can tell she's one of my favorite authors. Multiverse, I put The Book That Wouldn't Burn by Mark Lawrence, and I shouldn't really say more because spoilers. Person of color author, Warrior Girl Unearthed, and the author of that story shares the indigenous identity of the characters in the story. Next row, book club or read-along book. This one was also hard because I don't really do read-alongs or book clubs, but there were lists of different book clubs that you could look at, and Hunter's Oath by Michelle West was actually in a read-along because someone's hosting a Michelle West read-along where they're reading all of her series, and I really do need to get to Hunter's Death, the next book in this duology. Novellas? Okay, y'all can probably guess. It's a T. Kingfisher, Nettle and Bone. Is that actually a novella? Because if it's not, I've read others, but I'm pretty sure it's a novella. It's very short. It may not if it won Best Book. I should maybe swap that out, actually. Mythical Beasts, The Bitter Twins by Jen Williams, which is the second book in the Winnowing Flame trilogy. There's griffins and dragons. I think hard mode for that one was to not have dragons, if that's right. Elemental Magic, I did the Hurricane Wars because it's light magic and dark magic. Do those count as elements? Light and dark? I don't know. I also read Fourth Wing, and there's like lightning magic in that. So if Hurricane Wars doesn't count, then Fourth Wing will. Can you tell I'm playing loosey-goosey with this? I'm really bad at following and hearing strict reading instructions, apparently. Myths and retellings. I selected Spear Maiden because that is a Beowulf retelling. Last line, queer norm setting. I selected What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher because of the societal structure, especially involving soldiers in this world building. Coastal setting, The Tainted Cup, because that's extremely important to the plot of this story. Druid, I reread Daughter of the Forest, which definitely has druids in it. Features robots, any of the Murderbot that I read. I put System Collapse on my list this year. The last box is sequel. I put The Trials of Empire, which is the third book in the Empire of the Wolf trilogy. So, I managed to complete my card with legitimate choices. It's really challenging to have to adhere to the prompts. So I think that I will do this again. I haven't looked at the card for 2024 yet, so I have no idea what the prompts are going to be. I could level up the challenge by either doing hard mode for all or more of them, or by actually sticking to the books that I pre-selected on my bingo card. However, I'm a little bit of a mood reader, so I don't want to force myself to read things I'm not into at the moment because I don't want to fall into a reading slump. I think it works to backfill my card after I've already read the books, although perhaps that's not what this is intended to do. It's intended to stretch your reading to make you try new genres, new authors, things like that. I do think that I have tried a new genre over the past year, which is horror or books with horror elements in it. I'll take that as a win. Did any of you participate in rFantasy's bingo card? Let me know how you did, if you completed your line or your whole card. This was a pretty fun way to explore new books, new authors, and set a little bit of a challenge that's low pressure, because if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that you give the rFantasy bingo card a try this year. If you do, let me know. And as always, don't forget to support your local library.